Today we're making Payasam or Payesh, a beloved rice pudding in both southern and eastern India. This pudding, made out of simple ingredients which have been eaten in India for millennia, are combined to form a delicious pudding, and the first written mention of Payasam or Payesh is found in Buddhist and Jain literature around 400 BCE. According to food historian K.T. Achaya, this recipe could very well be much older than 400 BCE. A 12th century Sanskrit text called Manasollasa mentions serving Payasam midway through a royal meal, which I think is really interesting because they're serving this dessert halfway through a meal rather than serving at the end of a meal as we typically do Western desserts. I'm going to start by rinsing the rice. Normally I would rinse my rice at least 3 times, but for kheer, I either don't rinse my rice at all or just rinse it once. In this case, for this payasam, I'm rinsing it just once because I want to retain as much starch as possible because that will help the pudding thicken and get this nice luscious texture. Okay. I'm using sushi rice because that's the only short grain rice I have. And I'm doing 1 part rice to 3 parts water. Bring that to a boil. Lower the heat to low. Cover and set a timer for 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. Let's check on the rice. Okay, that's nice and cooked. But I'm just going to double check. Mashes nicely. It's soft. Perfectly cooked. Keeping the heat on low. Add the jaggery. Mix that well. Then add milk of choice. Obviously, traditionally that would have been dairy milk, but use whatever milk you like. It works. If you have any stuck bits at the bottom, this is a good time to scrape them up. Okay, I'm going to raise the heat a little bit to medium-low. Okay, now we're going to cook this until it thickens for about 15 minutes, stirring often. It's been 15 minutes and you can see how nice and thick this is. You can let it thicken even more if you like, but it will also thicken as it cools. This is the perfect consistency that I like. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of ghee. You don't have to add this at all, but many of the older recipes that I have seen include ghee, so I'm adding it. That's completely optional. And I'm adding a little bit of cardamom. Okay, so this is done. You can add an optional topping as well, so I'm going to do that even though it is not the ancient way. I'm going to garnish the payasam with some toasted cashews and cook those until they start to get nice and golden. Cashews were brought to India by the Portuguese around the 1500s, so they have been eaten in India for several hundred years, but this is not historic. Cashews are not native to India. Okay, that's perfect. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to transfer some of them here on top and then save a few more for garnish for individual servings. Okay, there is the payasam. I should wait for it to cool a little bit because it's very hot. I'm also going to add some of these cashews on top because I love extra cashews.